Editor Justin here. Basically, kind of had an issue that, I didn't think was a problem until watching the video as I'm editing. It's not the greatest sounding audio, but I'm not going back out there and redoing it all. So, sorry, but it just is what it is. So, all I ask is just have a little bit of patience as you're watching and listening. There's going to be a ton of wind out there, I guess, or the sound of the wind. So there's going to be moments where you probably won't hear me too well, but it is what it is. You can kind of hear me for most part on a lot of stuff. I just don't got the money for a mic right now. I like a good mic to actually use for my camera, but it is what it is. It's going to be like that for a little bit. But yeah. Let's get into it, and hopefully can actually hear the whole thing.
What's up, everyone? My name is Justin, aka T1 Disc Golf, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I will have to say, as a little disclaimer, that popping sound and all that is just the skeet range that's just not too far off. Anyway, today is kind of a special day because we're going to start off a new series, and what I'm going to be calling it is Rerouted Flight. Basically, the premise of the series is to show off the courses and stuff like that, not just in Omaha, but any courses that I go out and play, whether I go out of town or anything like that. But I'm starting in kind of just my area, the courses I'm familiar with, and then kind of work my way out. The basic idea, like I said, is just to show off the courses and show you at least what Omaha has, and then other cities eventually get to them. The cool little thing I'm going to be doing as well with this is basically I am going to be doing kind of like an overall score thing. So it's kind of one of those where it'd be really interesting to see. So each course, I'm going to be playing kind of a specific layout. So today, I'm actually going to be doing shorts. So I'll take the score of this round, and then when I come back to do the longs at this course, I'll add it with that. Once I finish this course, I'm going to take the overall score and kind of just follow it up with whatever score I get at the next course. So realistically, I could be hundreds of strokes over par, or I could be hundreds of strokes under par. It really depends on just how it is. I'm not a pro. I'm just a MA2 kind of intermediate player when it comes to actually throwing and stuff like that. But you never know with the courses whether it be difficult or easy. Just to see what, hopefully I'm a good median for people to see and gauge how the courses play, and kind of just the skill level kind of helps a little bit reach both sides of the audience. But we'll see, we'll get into it, and as I go along, the better I get, hopefully. There could be bad rounds, there could be good rounds, but I'm only going to do one attempt at each layout as I progress through each course. So yeah, that's basically the extent of the idea of the series. So I hope you enjoy it and you get to experience and see what all Omaha has to offer and all the other courses that I go along on my journey. So basically, the first round I have here is going to be at Seymour Smith. It's kind of an important course for me because basically this was the first course that I've played and kind of got into disc golf. And this was one time way back in middle school or junior high era of time. Basically, this is where I started, and then kind of took a little bit of a break, and then ended up playing again later on after I graduated high school and stuff like that, and then I got kind of serious into it once COVID hit. Basically, a couple of things to know about the course. It's at a public park, and there's, as you can hear, the skeet range kind of up ahead of me. It's also got a full baseball complex kind of area. There's actually as well like a accessible like softball, baseball slash complex on the other side of kind of like the park that where I'm at. There's just like a snowbox derby track. There's all kinds of different areas on this court, like park where the course is at. So it's really cool just to see what all the park has to offer outside of just disc golf. So, but obviously we're only focusing on disc golf part. So the kind of few basic things about this course, it's an 18-hole course, and there's longs and the shorts. Not every hole has a long pad, but you know, there's a main pad, which is typically the shorts for this course, and then there's usually multiple pin placements for the baskets. However, there's only one basket per hole, and it gets pretty regularly like switched up in, you know, different spots and stuff like that. As I go along, I'm going to try to at least point out the different spots of where the baskets could be and where it's at currently. So if you do end up coming over here to, you know, try out the course or whatever, just know the basket's not going to be in the same spot roughly about like every few weeks or so, depending on who comes out and changes it and stuff like that in certain events. So yeah, that's kind of the heads up for it. I'll go ahead and just get set up for hole one. Alright, hole one is 296 feet according to T-Sign. On UDisc, I think it's a different number. A lot of these distances on this course, I think, are kind of slightly off in certain ways, but I don't really pay attention too much to that. But at least having the idea of kind of the rough range is nice. Basically, there's a few different positions. I'm going to point it out for you. So the basket is like over here. There's also like a pin position over here, and then one just in this little open area before the trees, and then there's a few that are kind of tucked in the tree, gripping at trees that are over there. Yeah, nothing super crazy. It's not this crazy big course, so I'm gonna take my slingshot. It's kind of beat in. It's an old white Oasis one, and I'm gonna throw a forehand. Hopefully more air shot than it is skip, but we'll see. The last few times I've kind of had a nose down issue when it comes to throwing forehands the last couple weeks, so we'll see. I think that was just a little bit short, probably about like 15-20 feet, but that was exactly how I wanted to throw that. Ended up a little bit closer, more like 10 to 15, but see if I could get that bird. Just a tad bit high, but overall that was pretty straight at it. I'll take that. The next tee pad would be right there, kind of in the little bit of trees right there, and then the long pad is actually just to the right of the basket where it's currently at. All right, hole two is a 215 shot according to the T sign. Basically, we're kind of that like bush and then that like claw tree. It's right behind the claw tree. Currently, there's a pin position on the hill, and then there's also another position on the hill towards the wall of trees that's on the right side. And then there's also one kind of in the clearing to the right as well. But right now, I think I'm gonna do kind of just a waymaker, do a backhand hyzer to it, see if we can get there. I didn't really give it too much hyzer. I kind of just threw it flat and didn't get the nose up, so I guess we'll just approach it. I'm gonna try to give it a half bid, see if I can pick a long clip. Right in front of it. Good bar. Still one down. Off to the left of hole 2 is hole 3. Basically, you're going to throw over the kind of ravine area, and there's like a couple different spots within the trees, just inside the wall trees. There's one that's like straight ahead. Right now it's off to the right. So there's those two pin positions, and then there's a shorter one. There's actually like a stump in the middle of the clearing just past the ravine. That's like a really short dinker one, but right now, like I said, it's in the right position within the trees. I'm gonna throw my shepherd forehand at it, and hopefully I can make it. Bit of an early release, but it'll be all right. It's in the opening. I'll just pitch up for a 3. As you can tell, the wind's kind of messing with the flights and stuff like that. I think I'm also just a little bit on an off day, so it's not super great, but it's all right. I haven't really played within a week or so due to personal matters, but I'm gonna try to give this a run because it actually ended up a little bit closer than I thought. I thought it was more like in the open area, but that's all right. That'll be all right. Save the par on that one. Saved it. Now going to hole 4. The short pad's to the left, left of the basket. I'm trying to think the face the wrong way. And then kind of as you're coming around the ravine, the long pad's actually like, you'll come across it first before you actually get to the basket of hole 3. Hole 4 is a little bit tricky one, so you gotta pay attention on it. All right, hole 4 is kind of a doozy one. It says 338. It's going to be up the hill, and there's like a row of like spruce trees, pine trees. I could never remember which is which for some reason. Despite the one summer I did kind of arborist things, but basically you're going to try to go through all these woods, and then you're going to upshot into the basket that's over by the spruces on the other end. It's par 4 on U-disc right now. A lot of these C signs will say par 3, but U-disc says par 4 on this, so not entirely sure par 4, but I'm going to play it as a par 4. because that seems to make a little bit more sense for me. But there's people who have gotten there and got the 2. There's a couple different positions. There's one that's in the clearing kind of by the stump, and then there's one in the corner by the intersection of the road. There's the one we're going to be playing to, and then there's a new one that's like shorter in the grouping of trees just past this wall of trees, essentially. I'm going to do a backhand, and I'm going to kind of try to do a little bit of a turnover and hope it kind of just skips up the hill a little bit for a decent spot. And you'll be able to see the basket a little bit better once you're up there. There we go. That's all right. Hit the last tree on the way out, but that's fine. I'll take that for a first shot. Okay, so we can kind of see the basket kind of if you go up this tunnel right here. It's going to be a little hard to see just because of the color of the basket and just what's behind it. But that's the tunnel I'm going to be trying to go for. There is like a bigger hyzer gap, but I think it'd be better if I just went through the tunnel with it forehand. I'm going to throw a OG Enoch, kind of one of the first runs of it. And hopefully it's just straight enough to go into it. Hopefully I don't actually crash into the middle of a tree. Hopefully. Not my greatest shot, but that's all right. I'm gonna have to pitch up and then putt it out. Putting's kind of saving me right now, but kind of sucks. I feel like I could have done that better, but whatever. For those who are wondering, you go from wherever the basket is on hole 4, you're gonna go down this way, kind of go around the ravine, and then the long basket is kind of by this pole, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it from over here, but you're gonna follow this and go up the hill to 5. You're gonna walk past hole 7, which is kind of over here. Sorry for the little bit of a wobble, but I don't have a gimbal to help me with that. But like I said, you're just gonna follow this path right here, walking past the long for both 5 and 7. And where that trash can is and trees right there is the short pad for hole 5. Hole 5 here, there's a couple different positions. Right now it's currently in the right position, kind of just in line with those 2 stumps. A lot of these trees you're going to find out a lot of stumps, or a lot of trees were cut to stumps. Stumps are more for, I guess, obstacles so that way the course isn't completely just bare. But we lost a lot of ash trees here in Nebraska and a lot of other places due to the emerald ash borer a few years ago. So right now they're working on planting trees and stuff like that. It's a little bit tough out here because it's a pretty popular course and a lot of people are going to be going through it. And also the weather within the last couple of years hasn't been the greatest for kind of newborn trees for the most part, in my opinion. But yeah, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a backhand mid-range and try to get it straight down there, maybe with like a little bit of a hyzer. I'm going to be playing kind of like the couple trees that are on hole 6, so see what happens. I'm going to take my gyro. ding. Wind kind of just pushed it down on me. It's more of like a tailwind-ish, and I thought it would carry more, but I guess not. I felt like I threw that perfect, but just the unfortunate wind drop. That's all. Kind of unfortunate landing. I'm like between the baby tree and the stake post holding up, so but it's an easy pitch up 3. I'm not gonna make it that crazy, especially with the drop off behind it. It kind of sucks because over the past few years the erosion's kind of been bad, so it's like really weathering away it, but we'll see what happens. Easy 3. On to hole 6. Hole 6, it says 237 up the hill, so kind of where the branches are kind of hanging off is the basket's underneath it, just barely past the tree, just past the crest of the hill. But there's a couple different positions. There's one that's in the trees, and then there's like a couple that are a little bit further out on like the plateau part of the hill. So I'm gonna take my Oasis slingshot and just kind of do a little forehand chip with it. Might be a little much of a speed for it, but I usually do this just to fight the wind and kind of cut harder. So see what happens. Kind of rolled my wrist a little bit, so it flipped on me, but that's all right. I'll give it a long run. Give it a little bit of a run, but I'm gonna hope not to go too far and roll down the hill again. Usually my miss is I kind of loft it too much, and then the wind just kind of takes over. So it's not a far putt, but hopefully I can make it. Just threes today. So, hole 7, currently in the 308. Okay, 308 position according to the T-pad sign. But basically, you just want to throw kind of a backhand hyzer or a forehand if you really want to go over this stuff. But it's best for a backhand just to get a little bit wide and then just skip over. I'm gonna try to do that with my Diamond Glow slingshot. So yeah, there's a couple other positions, one in the road trees right there, and then there's a couple a little bit further back that are kind of more straight out, and it tends to turn to a longer 3 or a par 4, the farthest position. So yeah, let's see what happens. A little early. I didn't really like drive forward too much as I wanted to, but that'll be all right. It's a 3. Got a circle 2 look, but I'm gonna try to give it a run for kind of a long bird, and then yeah. Let's go. Hole 8 is off to the left of the basket. Hole 8 is kind of relatively easy. throw a forehand at it with my Rapture. It's going to be a little hard to see on the camera, but I'm going to go along the stumps that kind of cut over. There's a few other spots. One that's in the stumps. And then there's one or two behind the trees that are growing up there. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Didn't quite get over. Kind of warm burnered it, but it's kind of off to the right now. So easy 3, but gonna give it a long bid for 2. All right, let's go save a bird. Save the bar. This one's kind of in a weird spot. It's off to the left. Most of the pin positions are going to be more towards kind of the right. There's like a kind of a bigger clearing area, and it kind of goes into in the little midst of the few trees that are here. Those are the main positions. This one's kind of the shorty off to the left. I prefer forehand, but I think today, just the way the wind and stuff is, I'm probably just going to go backhand slight turnover with my gyro and see what happens. It says 252 on the T sign, but like I said, I don't know if the distance seems right. But yeah, let's see what happens. Made the gap, kind of just a straight beeline to the hill on that stump, but easy 3. I'm gonna try to give it a little bit of a bid for a birdie, but we'll see. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, baby. Aww. Just that much. Needed to be higher. All right, on to hole 10.
Okay. Thank you for watching the video, and sorry about the audio again. The back half is going to be out tomorrow. I'm saying that as like when I post it, in the time that you see it now, not right now as I'm editing the stuff. So yeah, we'll just go with that. I'll have a little bit better setup in the future videos of like, I'll actually do like a mid break, like kind of like the mid round review type thing or whatever in between or whatever. I don't know, I'll figure it out, but you're probably not going to see another video of me after this round, the whole round, after it gets sorted. So yeah, just thought I'd let y'all know, and yeah, have fun out there.